Today's podcast is brought to you in part by the South Metro Denver Realtor Association, the resource for professionals, and by Valerie Glenn, mortgage consultant with Bank Group Mortgage Corporation, on the web at bankgroup.org. Today's guest speaker is Patricia Silverstein with a 2008 economic forecast for Metro Denver.
We did come in a little bit under 50,000 home sales in 2007. Again, putting this all into context because of where this whole market has been headed. In 2004, we were coming off of the worst recession we had ever experienced. Very few net new people moving into the region. Incomes not growing at all. So what do? We bought more homes than ever before. An absolute rational response to the situation. Absolutely. But, in 2004, certainly keeping in mind we had the lowest mortgage rates in over 45 years. So people were very attracted by that, and they were very attracted by all the new types of mortgage products that really came into vogue there with your adjustable rate mortgages and your interest-only mortgages and the increased use of subprime lending activity, all of that type of thing. So, we have, and 2005 was certainly a year, too, where we were making some very strong use of that. Well, now we're kind of paying the price when we take a look at foreclosures. 1988, I show here on your far, your left side there, as the previous high number of foreclosures, again, a little over 17,000. 2007, I still have as an estimate because there's one county that we have not heard from, but we're looking at about 27,000 foreclosures. Okay, now this can also be fun and games with numbers, right? The foreclosure process in Colorado. You file, first of all, an intent to foreclose, which gets counted. You then file a foreclosure, which gets counted. You then may have that property go through some type of sale process, become a real estate owned property, which gets counted. So you look at the numbers of 27,000 and you think, oh my golly, 27,000 homes lost out there in the marketplace? That's not true. Not all of those intents to foreclose actually become real estate owned properties out there. They sometimes get cured along the way. The problem is we don't know what percentage of them actually get cured versus what actually end up as real estate owned. But nonetheless, still, an important point to make here, from that 17,000 to 27,000, that process has been the same. So no matter how we look at it, that process has been the same. The way they are counted has been the same. So we have certainly seen a significant increase in that absolute number. But keeping in mind, too, we are a much larger marketplace than we were back in 1988. So in terms of the percentages of homes that have been impacted by foreclosure, we're probably still at a relatively similar rate, albeit a little bit higher right about now, I would say. Notice that in 2008, though, we are expecting those foreclosure numbers, while still at very high levels, to not quite match where they had been in 2007. And that's because when you take a look at some of the foreclosure facts, again, it's really difficult in looking at foreclosure statistics to tell a lot of the whole story. We had done a project for the Colorado Bankers Association where we were delving into a sample of foreclosures out here. And so this is just kind of sharing some of those facts that we had found. The foreclosures were certainly concentrated in Metro Denver and in northern Colorado, and that's not really surprising considering that that's where most of the population is throughout the state of Colorado. What I did think was kind of interesting that about 77% of those loans in foreclosure were adjustable rate mortgages. Youch. Again, thinking back in 2004 and 2005 where a lot of those products really came into vogue. A lot of those adjustable rate mortgages that were originated in 2004 and 2005, those 3-year sets are coming due now, and that's when people are discovering that they're in a world of hurt when they're setting at rates that they can no longer afford. So that's why 2004, I think, was those loans that were set or originated in 2004, we saw a lot of those coming due in 2007, because on average, we see about 3 years from the time a loan is originated to the time of foreclosure. So that 2004-2007 cycle is where I think we've been at. As we look into 2008, remember 2005 was still a relatively strong year, which is why we still expect we'll see some a high level of foreclosures, but perhaps not as much as what we saw in 2007.